This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
This podcast is sponsored by AMG Logistics and in association with the Birmingham City Official Supporters Clubs. I'm your host, Craig Courtney, and we're looking forward to the next Blues game and finding out what our opposition fans think. Sit tight and enjoy the next edition of The Away End. Hi, we're back. International break. It's over again, which is great, and we get back to the proper football. I want to start off by saying, congratulations, England. Qualified for the World Cup, couple of games to go. Sounds fantastic. Well done to all the players that have been involved in that. And let's look forward now to getting up at silly o'clock in the morning to watch football from America in July of next year. But Birmingham come into this weekend looking for a fresh start. They're looking to maintain their unbeaten run at home, currently sitting at 29 games. So let's bring on number 30, or should I say, fingers crossed. Prior to the break, the Blues earned a hard-earned draw at Wrexham. A first half to say, well, a game of two halves to say, really, is the best way to describe it. First half, underrated, didn't play very well, didn't come out fighting. Second half, took less than 60 seconds to equalise, and then really dominated that second part of the game, which was great to see, because it was Birmingham of old. It's Birmingham that we've missed. However, we do come into this weekend's game against a Hull team that beat Sheffield United. Some people will say, that's not hard in the league at the moment. However, they are. Yeah, he's still got to beat them. So a 1-0 win sees them coming into the game with a decent run of form prior to this game. We're joined this evening by Nathaniel from the Hull and Back podcast. So thank you very much indeed for joining us on the Away End. Tell us a little bit, first of all, about the podcast, and then tell us about Hull and what we can expect.
Well, thank you for having me on. It's been a while since I've done one of these, but these are always fun. How old is a podcast now? I think, it's the same with my, I don't use the calendar app. I just use like the football results. I look in the future to see what remember what the day is. And so I remember everything from how long ago COVID was, but not really how long ago the League One season we had 5 years ago. So I think we must be approaching 5 years. I've been on it for 4. I think the first episode I did was about Euro 2021. I'm the host, but a sort of Ant, who I think you may have spoken to.
Yep.
He's sort of not our boss really, but he's the brains behind it all. And we do an episode every Sunday night. So we'll be doing one to review the match in a few days. And we just talk about everything Hull City. And we like to think that we have a nice balance between, there's two of us who are sort of in the know.
Yeah.
Joe knows everything about the academy, and Will, actually, he's in the press box during the match. And then I just chat a load of nonsense, really. I try and
it's a good balance then. That's what you're trying to say.
Exactly, yes.
Oh, excellent. So, we're coming into the game with two teams, next to each other in the league, same amount of points. I think only goal difference separating us. So, yes, you've come off the back of a 1-0 win against Sheffield United. But what can we expect from Hull this season? And what are your strengths and weaknesses? Because I know the games we've played against each other have always been tight. When I look at the last 5, it's again, 1 win for Birmingham, 2 losses, 2 draws. But the last game at St Andrews at Knighthead Park was back in March 2024, was a 1-1 draw. Prior to that, they were all very close games. We don't see ones where there's lots of goals scored. Overall, though, the record as well is just ridiculously tight. So at the moment, it's Birmingham won 28, drawn 22, lost 25. So there's hardly anything to separate us. Is that going to be different on Saturday, though? So tell us about Hull.
Well, I think a few years ago we had those 2-3-all draws, didn't we?
Yep.
I mean, last few years it's been fewer goals. I think Birmingham's probably actually one of the places we have a decent away record over a longer period of time. But to be honest, I've predicted, and maybe I'm jumping ahead, but it could easily be another 3-3. With the way we play, we talk about our strengths and weaknesses. Our weakness is definitely keeping a clean sheet, because although I think are we only out of 2 teams to keep a clean sheet against Coventry? Is that yourselves as well?
Oh no, we got spanked. They well and
okay.
truly turned us over.
But yeah, because they've scored like 1,000 goals already this season, and we didn't even have Ollie McBurney, our best player. He only came off the bench for that game, but we really had a few injuries, and it wasn't the best game to start with. The squad wasn't where we wanted it, and we scraped a 0-0, and when we conceded 3 at Wrexham, and 2 against Oxford, and 4 against Bristol. So yeah, another 3-3 is definitely on the cards because we don't really play open, but we can't defend. But with McBurney, who we'll get on to, I guess, but he's been so good for us and scored a lot of goals. So it could be a high-scoring game.
It's interesting you say that as well, because I think, am I right in thinking that you haven't won on the road this season? And I might have just given that the complete kiss of death from a Birmingham perspective. But you're coming into a game where you guys haven't won on the road, but Birmingham haven't lost at home. So we'll definitely come on to the predictions, but you could well be right with a draw. Yeah. But no, I mean, what you mentioned, like not being able to keep clean sheets. That sounds like the biggest weakness. Is there a reason for that? So is it that you're lacking in defensive areas, or do you think it's just the setup of the team? I mean, how does the manager structure the team nowadays? Are you we're like play 4-4-2, or do you do the 3-5-2? Are you we're going to put 1 and 1 up front? How do you set up?
Well, it's a bit interesting. I guess you would normally say it's a 4-3-3, but it's changed a little bit. I guess the important thing for this is context. So over the last few years, we have either had a great home record and terrible away, or we've been last 2 years, we've actually been really good away and very bad at home. 2024, we won 4 or 3 home games in the whole calendar year, which is pretty terrible, and including, I think, a few draws with yourself. The manager has been brought in because he plays more exciting attacking football. Our owner, basically everything comes to the owner. He's the Turkish Simon Cowell. Acun Ilıcalı has his money from being a media tycoon in Turkey. And Limra Senior and Ruben Sayers last year, they didn't play exciting football. And that's why Sayers was sacked, even though he kept us up. Whereas Sergej Yukievic, I think Acun saw, he was the manager of Dinamo Zagreb, and they lost 8-2 to Bayern. That's exactly the sort of manager I want. I want to see high-scoring games, and of course we don't want to lose 8-2. But so last year away from home we would grind out a 1-0 win or 0-0, and at home we would lose. I mean, this season it's completely different. We are high-scoring, and to be honest, for the first time in the 2.5, 3 years that Acun has been the owner, this is probably the first time where we are seeing exciting attacking football. We had the former CSK Moscow manager Leonid Slutsky about almost 10 years ago now, and it's very much like that, where we will try and outscore teams 3-2 here, 4-3 here, 3-3, 2-2, lots of 2-2s. And so actually, yes, as you say, the 1-0 win against Sheffield United is exactly the sort of performance we wanted, because it shows that we can get a clean sheet. And I think overall, if you're conceding so many goals, we're the worst defence in the league. So it's partially, as you say, because of the setup of the manager, but it's just this kind of weird knack where we're either good away, good at home, or can defend and last year we were the lowest scorers, whereas we're like the third or fourth top scorers now. So it just feels like an overcorrection, but it's what the owner wants. And if you can pair that and just fine-tune it and find the right balance, we could have a relatively positive season. But it's not because of the personnel, because Ivor Panda last year, our goalkeeper, won Player of the Year. We've got Charlie Hughes, who the club think is worth about £20 million. And we've got John Egan, Louis Kyle. Ryan Giles isn't great at defending. He's a good fullback, but most of the defence is the same as last year. So I think it's individual errors. And I think also Charlie Hughes and Ivor Pandor, they were really good last year, but they maybe had their heads turned slightly because of the speculation in the summer. But we've got over that. We've had a few international breaks, and we can now win dirty, if you like, with that clean sheet and a great important penalty save from Panda in the last few minutes against Sheffield United. So hopefully that's a turning point. So long as we keep the goals with it, but it's difficult. So I think it's exciting to see all these goals, but at a certain point, because Dean Holden is actually our assistant manager, but he has been a full-time manager for a few clubs, like is it Charlton and Stoke. So at times I do think, well, if Jurkiewicz keeps losing these games 4-2, 4-3, we will just sack him and bring Dean Holden in or promote him from assistant manager to sort of steady the ship. But maybe he's steadied the ship himself. We'll see. Or, it could be 5-5 because that is just how we like to play.
We like those types of games. And I've got to say,
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing better than a high-scoring game. But I do like those, like you say, 31-0 wins. You're just scraping over the line, but you've got enough overall to actually say.
It's every game we won last year. It was a right
Exactly, yeah. And
those last 20 minutes, like we won at Sheffield United, we won at Sunderland, and that Sunderland one we were hanging on for grim death. It was not a fun year last year.
But isn't that the fun of being a football fan though? Because it is boring when you're sitting there and things are just going right all the time. And I'm saying that as a fan that watched my team go unbeaten at home last season, set new records in the league with both points and the most amount of wins. But at the times you were thinking, oh, God, really?
Each win's
Can you just
satisfying,
give us something?
maybe.
But I mean, this season totally different. Chrissy Davis is still learning his trade. Really, this is still, and I think people do forget about this. This is still only his second season as a full-time manager, so he is learning. He has never managed at this particular level. So last season, get us up. That was his challenge. He did phenomenally well. Didn't just get us up, like I say, set the records. Now he's got to show that little bit more mettle and show us exactly what he can do. There have been some horrible performances so far this season, but there have also been some decent ones. So, hey, I'll take where we are at this present moment. And hopefully we can go back on a run where we continue to steady the ship and then push on. There's no reason. And this league is so open that I still don't believe there's a team that's going to run away with it. I think it could be really, really close right up until we get towards the end of the season as well. So it's going to be an interesting one. But you've covered there, I think, a few of the weaknesses that are within the team, especially across the defensive side of things. You've also mentioned about now having a bit of a flow that's scoring the goals. What do you think that has caused or has brought to the team, and where's it coming from? I've heard you mention McBurney a couple of times now, so I'm guessing you're going to go, he's our playmaker, this is what happens, this is what he does. But is it just that, or do you think that you have got areas that are gelling and like ourselves, still people learning?
Yeah, well, we've still got players to come back in, actually. I mean, because last year we had Liam Miller and Mohamed Baloumi as the wingers to start the season, and they both got an ACL injury, I think, like within 2 weeks of each other. So, of course, you take out the two best creative players, you do struggle. And we had João Pedro up front, not the one from Brighton. although we'd say ours is better. And he was a great player. And we always kept saying, well, if he could run, he'd be like the best player to ever play in the Championship. But if he could run, he wouldn't have signed for us, to be fair. But we've gone from having players that put in a lot of effort, but the quality or the physical sort of traits aren't there, to McBurney, who just seems to be playing the best football of his career. Because it's always been at least at the Championship level, he struggled in the Premier League, but at Championship level, he's been pretty solid.
Yeah, he's always been there or thereabouts.
Oh
And I
yeah.
think there were times when he was looked on for most teams, and
Mhm.
he could have gone on and still can go on to have fantastic seasons.
Mm.
What do you think? Is it the case that because he is getting more of the ball that he's getting the opportunities,
Yeah.
or is he creating them himself?
Well, his time in Spain must have helped him, because you see it sometimes. He didn't have a great year there, but actually assists became more of his game, because he had was it Fabio Silva was at Wolves
Yep.
up there with him, so they played two strikers up front, and his job as the older player, a more technical player perhaps, was to assist for the other players at Las Palmas. So he's got is it 7 goals in our competitions, but he's got 4 assists as well. And before last year, that wasn't really part of his game. So he is a playmaker. He's like Kane. He doesn't necessarily come quite as deep as Kane, and he's
Yep.
not as good, of course. But
I'm glad you're saying that.
he is a bit of a playmaker himself. Whereas Jean Pedro, I think, got 1 assist last year, and he was miles offside for that, and it shouldn't have counted. So McBurney's creating his own chances as well. So because we did have good opportunities last year. They would mostly fall to Regan Slater, who's a defensive midfielder. He had, I mean, his miss compilation from last year was unbelievable. If those had fallen to someone like McBurney this year, we would have been fine. So it's good to have a proper striker, because we didn't have one last year. And the year before, we had Liam Delap, who's gone on to better things,
Yep.
but he was injured for half the season. We played him on the wing for about a third of the year as well. And we had a lot of wingers. We had Philogene and Tufan, Carvalho, Amur, Twine. So we had all these number 10s and wingers, but no focal point. But Bernie's a proper focal point. He's a bully for defenders. He was nicely to play against, and he's improved. He's in his peak, and so yeah, he's playing really well. I still don't understand how we got him. I know we're paying him an awful lot of money. That's part of it, but yeah, because I think Wrexham, obviously, Sheffield United and Ipswich, they all wanted him. Swansea as well, because he's been there before. So it was a big exciting day when we got him. And then the reintegration of Ryan Giles has been important as well. This is a bit of a niche reference, but remember years ago when Chelsea had Alvaro Morata, and he wasn't great, but he scored a lot of goals, specifically assisted by Azpilicueta. They
Yes.
seem to just have that uncanny knack of finding each other. And Giles is like that with McBurney. So McBurney's won Player of the Month, and the video Hull put out on Instagram was Ryan Giles presenting the trophy to McBurney, because he's assisted him for 5 of his 6 league goals this season. So because Giles probably a better wing back. We signed him for a lot of money from Middlesbrough. Defensively, he's not lived up to it, but Jurkiewicz is really keen to say, well, we want to get the value out of him, because we've spent so much money, and if he can provide the goals to McBurney, who loves to get across onto the end of a cross in the box, then that's just a great recipe for goals. So if
Yep.
Giles or McBurney get injured, it'd be interesting to see if McBurney's the top goal scorer in the country, or he's got the most goals and assists combined. That's awesome. It would be interesting for people to say, oh, but Ryan Giles is injured, so McBurney stopped scoring. Well, that's interesting, but that will happen. So the way to neutralise McBurney is to neutralise Ryan Giles. It was actually Kyle who got the assist for the Sheffield United goal. But yeah, if you can neutralise the fullbacks, which is going to be difficult with the form they're in going forward, then that's the way to stop McBurney, because you can't stop McBurney because he is just playing so well. It won't continue for the whole year. I don't see him scoring 30 goals, but it's just so nice to actually have a proper striker, because we haven't really had one other than in League One since Fraser Campbell did a job for us. I mean, Abel Hernandez was injured most of the time after we've come down from the Premier League, so it's really the best striker we've had in going on 7-8 years.
And I think this is what people fail to recognise, is it's not always about the goal scoring, it's about the consistency of the play. Having somebody that is, if they're not going to score, they're going to create the space for somebody else. And it sounds as though that's what we can expect on Saturday. I'm in a position where at the moment I'm thinking to myself, oh, we've got a guy that's on fire up front. A person giving him the ball and making sure that creating opportunities. And we've got a defence that has looked weak through injuries. And I think, not Chris Davies hasn't necessarily, for me, seen his best 11 on the field yet. And we're not going to see that this weekend because of the injuries and the way that they continue to mount up. But as we have seen for the past 18 months, you cannot predict the Birmingham side that's going to be put out because Chris Davies keeps his cards very close to his chest. And when it comes to injuries, some clubs are like, he's going to be out for weeks. He's not going to be back. He's done this. We don't hear that. We just hear he's got an injury. He's got a niggle. It's going to be out for a short while. Now, a short while can be a week, 2 weeks, 2 months. We don't know. And so it's hard to predict what we will see on Saturday. I am hoping that we see a centre-half partnership back the way that it was, which was Clara and Neumann. Both right-footed, started the season, fresh pair together, but actually Clara was always backing Neumann up and vice versa. Neumann was in there and he'd head a brick if it was thrown at him. Clara's there with the heavy tackles, getting a foot in. This is I'm here. Now you're not going to get past me again type of player. Then we had the two, I suppose you could call them wing backs in a way because they would bomb forwards. Now we've seen injuries in both of those areas. So Asai Samuel, again, slight doubt. We know that Ethan Laird is going to be out. We don't know what's going to happen with Cochrane. So we'll wait and see what the defence will be. Midfield, we've had a few juggles, but we have got phenomenal players. And on their day can be just unplayable. To think we've got a winger from Sunderland that was very close to being their player of the season last year, but cannot get into a Premiership side and just come to us on loan. He's like, okay, this is good. I quite like this. So we'll see. And then when it comes to being up front, we've got obviously Stansfield in now. He's been off the ball a little bit, but he's beginning to find his feet again. We've got Kyogo.
So Joe on our podcast, and this isn't from him seeing him in a Birmingham shirt. This was at the under 21s Euros.
Yes, yep.
What did he say? Basically, nothing kind. He said Stansfield is dreadful or something. So, I mean, obviously, you're going to think he's better than dreadful, but how is he adapting? Well, I guess he's already played in the Championship, but how is it?
Yeah, he's played in the Championship. This is his, I think the weight of expectation on him last season was great because...
Well, from me as well. I was saying if you're spending 20 million on a player for League One, you should score 30.
Going in and setting brand new records, etc., you're just never going to know what's going on. And when they signed him, it was like, no chance, He's got to hit the ground running, which he did. He's been involved more this season. We're definitely seeing more playmaking coming from him. He set up the equaliser at Wrexham. So we're seeing more of that game. We're not seeing the goal scoring prowess necessarily that we'd seen last season, but nor would I expect that. He's still young, and at the end of the day, it's a totally different game. Last season he found space all the time. This season you've got defenders that, look, some of them are coming to the end of their career, some of them are hitting their prime. You go to the Division 1 and you've got players that are just really saying, we want to get out of Division 2. Some are great. Some have got the ability to move on. Others, to me, as I saw last season, were just, this is their level. And if I take Sheffield Wednesday as an example, the one thing I saw from Stansfield that I haven't seen for a while was he played for the goal. It was his shot that was saved. He was there then to follow up. And that's what we have been lacking from him. But I think that has come down to, I don't think he's been 100% fit. And, you know, let's face it, he did the whole of the England under-21s during the summer. He's then come back and done pre-season. So actually some players have had weeks of break. He hasn't really. So that might be telling its tale a little bit. But I'll never write him off because he is good, you know, and on his day, he is a phenomenal, unplayable striker. And that's the one thing that I would say is he can turn it on. He can be fantastic. He'll have his bad days. He'll give his effort all the time, though. And, you know, you'll see that on Saturday. I want to test your knowledge a little bit now.
Okay.
So we've talked a lot about the players here now. But there's been players of past that have signed either from Hull to Birmingham or from Birmingham to Hull. Now, there's not huge numbers. There's actually, over the years, not been many at all. And I'm wondering whether you can name 5
Okay.
that have represented both clubs and have signed either from Birmingham to Hull or Hull to Birmingham.
For example, not Sebastian Larsson, who's played for both, but in between. Okay. Yeah. Well, again, John Terrell was on loan at Birmingham, so that doesn't count. Ryan Woods.
But John Terrell was on loan to Birmingham, but also did sign for us. So actually, he did come to you as a free, came to us actually as a free transfer. So you can have John Terrell.
We bought him from us, I'm sure, because I remember we wasted all that money on him. But yeah, I guess if you're giving it to me, I'll take it.
I'll give you John Terrell.
All right. Yeah, definitely Ryan Woods because we bought him from you guys. I'm
Indeed.
sure.
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah. Birmingham. I make goal compilation videos of our new signings. I'm trying to remember ones I've done of Birmingham players who've joined us. Who have we sold to Birmingham? Oh well, again, was it a loan? But Cody Drame, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, this is a good question.
I'll give you a hint. There's a couple of goalkeepers in there. One.
I was going to say Stockdale.
Well, Stockdale's not there, no. He didn't sign between us.
Ryan Alsop.
Ryan Alsop, yeah. How could you forget that one?
I blame him. We'd be in the Premier League if it wasn't for him, I'd say. But
incidentally, dropped out the Birmingham side at the moment.
Yeah.
So
it gets dropped by every club, though.
We didn't see last season. Well, last season he was on. Nothing was getting past him.
Yeah.
This season we saw a couple of mistakes, so I think that's why they've given him.
He does have ability. It's just when it's going badly, it goes very badly. Yeah. Oh, a couple of goalkeepers.
The other goalkeeper,
we bought Curtis Davis from you.
Did indeed, Curtis Davis. Yeah. Yes. So you've got 4. So just one more. I'll give you the positions. Okay. One's an attacking midfielder. One was a centre back. One was a centre forward. Centre forward was actually a loan transfer from yourselves to us.
Again, I don't know if this counts. Dan Crowley?
It does count, yes. So Dan Crowley was actually the loan transfer, and that's attacking midfielder. To put you out your misery, the other 2, the centre back, Danny Lupano.
Oh, I don't know him.
And the final one was your centre forward, and I was quite surprised you haven't mentioned him actually.
Oh, what's his nationality? I'm getting
good question. All I can say is he signed for Birmingham on a loan transfer in 2013-14 season.
Premier League, yeah. Ooh. Oh. Birmingham. Who did we? No, I don't know.
Aaron McLean.
Was he? I didn't know. He was at Birmingham, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
And then your other goalkeeper is probably way before your time, but 1979, 1980. And was Jeff
yeah.
Whelans as a goalkeeper. So, but no, I mean, I've seen somewhere we've had loads of players, and obviously this one was very close. So, get to that point of the show where I have to say, I think I've already heard the answer, but I'm going to ask again. What does your head say the result will be, and what does your heart say the result will be at St Andrews at Knighthead Park on Saturday?
Well, I've already said, I guess, my heart answer, which is 3-3, because we've had two of those in the past, so it can happen. And I just think Jukiewicz is going to have 2 weeks to think, oh, that was a boring game against Sheffield United. We want more excitement. So 3-3, you know, I mean, it's not really, it's not a head answer, is it? It's a bit silly. We're much better at home, and defensively away from home, it just I get concerned. It'll be a tight game. I don't really think I have any confidence that we'll really get a result away from home. I guess heart 3-3, head 2-2, because
fair enough. So fair to say, score draws.
Yeah.
I mean, for myself, the not knowing of the team that's going to be out there on Saturday, I think makes a difference. You know, there's the potential that we won't see Damari Gray. Apparently, he was injured during the international break, but then we don't know to what extent. We have got, for me, a little bit of a wounded animal at the moment. So we haven't been playing well, but we've ground out results. And I think at some point or other, the tide's got to turn. Now, I don't think it's necessarily going to be a high-scoring game. In fact, my prediction earlier on was that I think it'd be just a 1-0. I really do think it'll be a tight game. After hearing what you're saying, I'm kind of changing my mind there now, because it's like, you know, part of me's going, yeah, 1-0. But now I'm thinking,
I think we're quite happy to park the bus against, cause we'll be doing it against Leicester, and we've done it against Southampton and Sheffield United. Against the big teams, the parachute payment teams, we're very happy to park the bus and grind that out. But we'll be thinking that, because we've spent a lot of money, but when you guys have spent money, but you're not a parachute payment team, neither are we. We probably think of ourselves in the same sort of category, like not as good as the commentary, but a team that's giving it a go, I guess.
Yeah, and I think we'll be there or thereabouts. So I think my heart says we'll get a 1-0. My head, now after hearing what you're saying, you know, I 3-1. There we go. Well, we'll go for goals. But we will not know, like I say, until the day and the team. What is going to be nice, though, is Saturday afternoon at 3:00. We've missed it. Birmingham fans, we've missed it. So
it feels like a long
glad
time.
It's back.
International breaks, they drag, don't they?
They do indeed. And at this point, I just want to say, Nathaniel, thank you very much for joining myself on the away end, which is sponsored by AMG Logistics and in association with the Birmingham City official supporters clubs. For all details of joining the official supporters club, please look out for details during the show and look at www.bcfcosc.com, looking for your nearest group. And of course, if you want to set up your own group, you can also do that via the same site. So thank you very much again for joining us. Here's to a great game on Saturday. Hope you enjoy. Are you travelling to Birmingham?
I won't be. I'll be listening on the radio.
Well, enjoy listening. Hopefully it's not too painful for you. But here's to a great game, and have a great rest of the season, apart from Saturday when we meet, and of course, when we come to your place. So thanks a lot, and keep right on.